G'day and welcome. Monday, and I'm really keen to get this one out of the way, and don't know how much you want to analyse this one or even talk about it. I must admit, I was somewhat relieved, one, when the final siren went, but two, that we actually lost, and also lost in the manner in which we did. And I'm not one of these types that, and I saw so much on social media last night after the game, particularly on Twitter, in regards to fans saying, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but a lot of the fans were, on one side there was a bit of panic, but most of was just take a deep breath. I'm not actually. It's a funny one because I don't like, oh well, you can say what you like, but just take a deep breath. And then I look at the reaction of Michael Voss and those photos which I put up on the thumbnail there, and that's not a coach taking a big deep breath. That's a coach who's clearly not happy with the way in which this team played yesterday in that third quarter. But I reckon it probably stemmed a little bit earlier that in the first half. And I reckon it might have even gone back to last week as well. And there was a level of frustration there, and not necessarily a attitude of let's just all take a deep breath. There'll be a sense of calmness, I suppose, and whatever they're creating inside that bubble. But have a look at that coach. I don't think I've seen a more animated Michael Voss in regards to the way he is staring at the players and looking him straight in the eye. He's fucking going bananas there. So, that was a shit performance. Let's not sugarcoat it. That was fucking ordinary. And there was actually a part of me in that last quarter that wanted the Giants to get enough on the board to secure a home final. That's the only interest I had in that game in the last term. I was actually spewing we got those last two goals, those junk goals at the end, to bring that margin back a little bit, because I think that margin in the end somewhat flattered us. How much you want to read into it is I'm not quite sure, because we have been up for so long. And I don't think we necessarily played that well last week, but we handled the occasion of last week really well, given the circumstances of going up there on the road and wanting to get that win to secure a final spot. And I think we handled the occasion, but we didn't actually play that well. And I reckon there's parts of the game that, over the last couple of weeks have probably dropped away. And I think Voss knows that, and I think that's around that pressure and defensive acts. And I think our game is primarily sort of built on that, and I don't think it's any different for any other team, And the way that the Giants move that ball, and even when we were on top early in that game, there was a sense that, it was okay while we had it on our own terms, but once that first initial excitement of getting Charlie's for 2 goals, and that was a really good moment. They just moved the ball with such ease from their back half, and they opened us up. And they rammed us. The amount of space they had in their forward line afforded to them, and the amount of uncontested marks for blokes who were just by themselves. And you can blame the defence for that, but that was a massive breakdown right across from our half forwards and midfielders, and they did it with ease. And even when we came back in that second quarter, you could feel that they were the ones that had potentially the weapons to pull away in that game, and they did exactly that. They looked and I knew they were a competent team. In the preview, I thought it was a really good sort of audition for us that we played them. Yeah, but did we necessarily make them look a little bit better than what they actually are? Potentially, but they look like a team who can do some damage. And we would like to think we're the same team as well. And I think we are still capable, but whether that now, whether that's some small signs now that we reached our peak and we just don't know. We just don't know. We're just going to have to wait. And the good thing is we have to play a really even though they're young, somewhat young, we're playing a season finals campaign team who culturally know the occasion, what it looks like, what it feels like, and their coach has been there, done that. And I know ours has been there as a player, Michael Voss. And it's going to be a really interesting 10 days and a build up to that elimination final. And I don't mind now that I feel like that loss came at probably the perfect time, because it really, what incentive, other than just winning a game of football, because you're such competitors, but if you're slightly off because the other team do need to win and you're just like, are you going to go above and beyond? You have to take it into consideration. You do. It's funny, isn't it, though, when you lose like that, you start to see a few things in some players that have been up and about and come into the team, and are they good enough? Can they perform at the level? It's going to be fucking intriguing. I mean, I just looked, for example, at David Cunningham's game, who I sort of looked at his game and I saw him get his hands on it. But whoever was responsible for Lockie Whitfield and Ash in that first quarter, they were just running riot from half back. But I look at Cunningham, and I know he went to some centre back. He's ended up with 24 touches. But he didn't win a clearance. Yeah, so statistically, someone like David Cunningham looks like he's played a decent role. But, Fogarty, Cunningham, Marchbank got an opportunity, came on. That was interesting, the fact that Kemp went forward. They tried a few things. I think Chincotta's form has slightly dipped. Whether he looks a little bit tired. I thought Jack Martin was really poor yesterday. He's had a good patch of form. Durden came back in. There was just guys that you just thought, yeah, but that was right across the board, really. There was not one standout performer yesterday. So I'm not necessarily worried about it, because we are who we are, and I think we're no different to any other team in the competition. This was probably trying to stress all along, that the way we now look at a loss is potentially a little bit different to what it was. Say, for example, if this loss had come on the back of those 6 losses that we had in a row, we'd be calling for Michael Voss's head. If this was a loss and we weren't playing finals and it was the last game of the year, we would be putting every player up for trade. So we look at it now with a different lens, because we've shown we're really capable, and 2, we've actually seen a brand of football which looks like it can stack up against the best, and that's simply the way I'm looking at it at the moment. But yeah, I don't know. I look at Michael Voss's reactions, and I know coaches get fired up and frustrated at times, but that's probably the most animated I've seen him. Yeah, that is the most animated I've seen Michael Voss. Even when we were going like a busted ass, he didn't stare at the players like that at a 3/4 time speech. Look, he might have, but it's not like he's sort of saying, let's all take a deep breath here. He's he is demanding better effort than potentially what this team has given over the last couple of weeks. So we need that freshen up, the weekend off to freshen these boys up. Wiedering's an interesting one now, given that incident with Toby Green. If that was a player from another team, I'd be looking at that and going, yeah, it's not a good look. That's not a good look. So that is going to be interesting. Rest assured, if he gets weeks, that we will challenge that. There's no doubt about that. But that'll be a nervous wait, because without Jacob Wiedering in our back half, I'd like to think that the rest could step up. But I think he was our best player yesterday. And he's been in super form in the second half of the season. So that is a nervous wait. I think Akers was superb before he went off. I think he was one he took that game really, really seriously. So that's a concern with his shoulder. The rest, Saad looked like that ankle which he copped looked to be okay. So I think fitness-wise, physically, we should be okay for that first final. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a really exciting little patch, but also I reckon pretty anxious as well. But maybe just that expectation and heat has just come out of it a little bit, so that we can now just concentrate on what made us so good in that I reckon that patch, that patch, where we beat Port Adelaide and we beat Collingwood and we beat Melbourne and just all those wins where we were going back to, contest type football and pressure type football, which I reckon has dropped away a little bit over the last couple of weeks. Anyway, let's have a look at this individually. Walsh came back into the team. I didn't think it was anything special, but he was clearly in our best. 453 metres gained, didn't use the ball that well. Still had 6 clearances. Will he be better for the run? You would hope so. Was he damaging? No. Okay, did he win a little bit of the ball? Yes. Were the midfield of the Giants better? Yes. Okay, but I suppose from a fitness point of view, it's a tick. Newman was solid again. Felt it surprising that he didn't play on Toby Green for much of the night, if he played on him at all, but he was still okay. Thought once again he was in our top 6 with 25 touches. Zach Fisher, he's had 24 touches, gave away one of the most bizarre 50-metre penalties that I've ever seen. Had some moments that he'd want to forget, including a sort of just a rushed panic kick out of the back half. An important stage. Did some nice things. Can he defend? Is he strong enough to defend? Not quite sure. Went forward in the last quarter, or got on the end of one in the last quarter and kicked the goal, but that was junk time. That was pure junk time. Didn't necessarily rate his performance, just like Cunningham. He's had 24, but I just didn't feel, other than for a brief period there where he got his hands on it, was flicking the ball out by hands. Yeah, I didn't think it was a great performance. He had 17 handballs, 17. Chera, probably the same as Walsh. Got his hands on it, didn't have huge impact on the game, but won 6 clearances. Should be better for the run. He's had a quality season. Mitch McGovern, the same. Thought he was as loose as a goose. But there were some contests where he's really good. Used the ball okay at times, but also didn't with his decision-making. Played on green. I think it was an okay performance, given that he's missed a little bit and the body looks okay. I thought Saab was excellent early before he went off and then came back on. I thought he was pretty solid all night. Same with Dow, 8 clearances. Gave away, like Fisher, just like a fucking bizarre 50-metre penalty where he just ran in between the player taking the kick on the man on the mark, and he just ran through the interchange gates and just looked all at sea. He looked as confused as a fucking cow on AstroTurf, Paddy Dow, at that stage. Ducked his head into a tackle, which was like, what the fuck are you doing? I know that you do these things, but 21 touches, at times I thought he looked like our most damaging midfielder with his ability just to sort of break away. And, he did get the ball in deep. I think it was okay. It would be really a tight squeeze for him come that first final. Thought Akers was our best before he went off, as I mentioned before. Hewitt, quite early. Was it a serviceable performance? I wouldn't have thought so. Just the one clearance from his 20 touches, pretty quiet. Wiedering pretty good down back. Had a role on a couple of their tools. He didn't have a huge impact, whether it was... I don't think he spent a lot of time on Hogan, but he had Keith when he was resting forward. But there will be a nervous wait for Jacob Wiedering. Well, I'd be nervous anyway. Harry, I just thought he busted his ass. It's just not working for him at the moment. The experiment of playing him in the ruck, you would like another game before a final to do that, I would have thought, or a couple of weeks of that. Did he look gassed? Did he look tired after spending that time in the ruck? Did that take away from his impact forward when he went back there? Still had 16 disposals and took the 5 marks, but didn't hit the scoreboard. Kemp did a couple of nice things in the air. A little bit of rebound here or there, but I don't think he necessarily defended strongly. It makes me a bit nervous without Wiedering there, if I'm going to be honest. You've got potentially a back line of, without Wiedering, Kemp, a Marchbank, maybe a Lewis Young, and a McGovern. It's a bit loosey goosey, without Jacob there. So, I like what Brody Kemp's done this year. De Koning, thought he battled really well, 34 hit-outs with the big guy who I reckon just got stronger as the game went on. That was Briggsy, big Briggsy. Fuck, isn't he a big boy? Just sort of pushing him out of the way and pumping the ball forward. I didn't mind the TDK's game, but the big fella did get on top. He did get on top. Holland's pretty quiet. Unlucky not to get a really nice goal. Did some nice things, but I didn't think it was a great performance. The same with Fogarty. Just the one tackle, 14 touches, was down on pressure. Cottrell, the same. Probably down a little bit on pressure with just the one tackle. Curnow was on fire early and then just drifted out of the game, and I thought Buckley was superb on him. And we were a little bit Charlie-centric, to be perfectly honest. Owies, actually thought he was probably our best small forward. He's such a good kick in front of goals, and he does bring energy. Marchbank did a few nice things when he came on. Didn't like Durden's game. Didn't like Martin's game. And as I mentioned before, didn't like Chincotta's game. Anyway, guys, that's a wrap for a review of our, somewhat not disappointing finish to the year in regards to the home and away season, but a few little signs in that game and last week to suggest there's a bit to work on going into elimination final. I'm going to have some content up over the next 10 days. Given that there's no game this weekend, I'll continue to pump out some videos between now and our elimination final, which has been announced yesterday, was it? Last night or this morning it was announced that we'll be playing on the Friday night at the MCG against the Sydney Swans. Speak soon.